The November regular meeting of the County Legislature. Will everyone please rise for the invocation to be delivered by Rabbi Cutler?
I think we start off with a prayer first. A little sleep for all of you tonight. It's a long night. But also a prayer of gratitude for the hard work that you do and for the leadership that you have provided. And yesterday marked a way for us to come together as a community and to give voice to the great democracy that we have created and our ancestors have built. O source of life, we ask for blessing be upon all those who inspire us to seek the work of salvation. We ask you to empower those who lead and guide us to exercise their authority with a sense of understanding, compassion, and respect for law. May the Holy One of Blessing bring us strength to all who work for our and within our communities on the behalf of all those who are in need. God, support and strengthen them in their resolve, their body, and their spirit, and let them look back on their accomplishments with a sense of pride. May we show gratitude by solidarity and respect for how they lead, and may we be inspired by their leadership to act in accordance with all the core values that bring a sense of virtue to those created in your image. We turn in respect to our leaders for inspiration, hope, direction, and guidance. May they lead us in a path for peace to build communal cohesion through the word and deed that comes from their heart. Bring about blessing by the way we gather together for sacred service. And may we know peace as a result of the work of their hands, as we all say, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Legislative Paternity.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take care, my
I think we'll now move to the Rules Committee to be chaired by Legislator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Rules Committee has now come to order. First item is Rules number 82, a resolution to support Operation Greenlight for Veterans. This is a date period that we have from November 7th to, I think, the 13th in relation to having a green light for veterans. Any questions?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Villano. Yes, please.
I hope everybody had an opportunity to read this resolution. It's full of so much information, how important Operation Greenlight is. I think it's a wonderful way to honor and acknowledge the men and women in the armed forces, but it also creates awareness for the challenges that they may have when they enter into civilian life. With the assistance of Metroplex, Schenectady County has illuminated many buildings in green just to show our appreciation and support for our veterans. And we're asking that businesses and residents do the same by taking a green light bulb and putting it either in their entryway or in their storefront, just to show their appreciation for our veterans. The Schenectady County Veteran Service Agency does a wonderful job in assisting our veterans. If anybody out there is looking for help in assisting to see what they're eligible for, you can contact our director, Bill Frank, and he is located. His number is 518-377-2423. Thank you so much. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you very much, Ms. Villano. Any other questions? May I have a motion?
Move to report.
Second. Ms. Villano, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution is moved. Resolution number 83, a resolution supporting the actions of the New York State Climate Action Council to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. We had last week a long introduction into this particular proposal. Do we have any questions on this particular proposal?
Move to report.
Hearing none, Mr. Hughes, second.
Second.
Second, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the resolution's been moved. Resolution number 84, a resolution to accept monies from the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services. Move to report.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution's been moved. Resolution number 85, a resolution authorizing acceptance of bids received at a public auction of sale of real estate property by Schenectady County and authorizing the execution of a quitclaim deed. And we have Jackie Falatico here if anybody has any questions, but go ahead. We brought this up last week and then we had to come back this week for it.
Yes, yes, we had tabled it until today. We had a very successful first-time online auction, first time we've ever been able to do that online. The auction began September 23rd and ended October 21st, and we were able to sell 17 properties that we had acquired through the county's tax delinquency and foreclosure process. We were the proceeds from the auction totaled $931,000. The amount we received net gains to us a little over $407,000.
Move to report. Second.
All in favor? Any? Aye. Any?
Not at this
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution's been moved. Last item, resolution number 86, a resolution to confirm the appointment of a person to a various board, which is the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. And that point, we're looking to appoint Charles Davidson.
Move to report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the resolution's been moved. And with that, Mr. Chair, the Rules Committee has now come to an end. Look at that.
Thank you, Legislator Fields. It's now time to open up privilege of the floor. Members of the public are asked to come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, and please try to limit your comments, give everyone a chance to speak. Anyone wishing to comment during privilege of the floor?
Good evening. Excuse me. Good evening. My name is Cliff Bradshaw. I'm a District 4 Delancey resident. I would like to remind this legislative body that each of you are elected officials chosen by the citizens of the district you reside in. People like me, our taxes pay your salary. If you fail to listen to your constituents, refusing to take their concerns and requests to heart, you are not fulfilling your duty as a legislator. Please strive to represent the citizens of your district in everything you do relating to this position you hold. Chairman Jasinski, on September 13th, you did not represent me, nor did you represent the majority of residents in District 4, the district you serve, when you voted against Patty McGarry serving out Brian McGarry's term. By refusing to listen to the letters and requests from District 4 residents to appoint Brian McGarry's wife in his place, you have done a disservice to the McGarry family and to the majority of the residents in District 4, who overwhelmingly elected Brian McGarry to this legislative body. Brian McGarry was a great teacher and a wise leader. He taught 3 of my boys. All 3 loved and greatly respected him as a teacher. As parents, my wife and I were overjoyed each time we saw Mr. McGarry's name on our child's 6th grade schedule. We knew they would be in good hands under Brian's wing. Mr. McGarry was loved and respected by school staff as well. Just the other day, a leader in the Duanesburg High School shared with me how friendly and welcoming Brian was to her when she started teaching there. Brian McGarry was a very special person to a lot of people. Recently, I sent Chairman Jasinski an email addressing my concern of the lack of legislative support for Brian McGarry's wife. Mr. Jasinski responded by boasting of how, quote, proud he was of his legislative accomplishments, none of which were relevant to my concern, and by accusing me of playing, quote, petty partisan politics. Nothing could be further from the truth. I'm an independent voice, not a politician. I brought up a concern that is dear to my heart. I'm passionate about a few things, God and family being at the top of the list. But partisan politics is not and never will be on that list. Furthermore, I do not like public speaking and would not be here tonight if my concern was petty. Instead, I have a passion for the truth. I leave you with this. On April 8th of this year, Brian McGarry reached out to me with this picture. It's a picture of my son eating a bagel, taken through the hole of another bagel. This picture is worth 1,000 words. It reveals two of Brian's loves, his students in photography. Mr. McGarry captivated his students. He made learning fun, but it goes much deeper than that. Brian McGarry lived his life serving others. Even when his life on earth was nearing its end, Brian was thinking of others and sending out fun, bagel pictures from the past. What a great and selfless example for each of us to follow. Moving forward, please take the time required to listen to and hear the concerns of the people you were elected to serve. Please be their voice representing their views. Please end the practice of silencing others because they don't share the same views as you. For example, the October 2022 regular legislature meeting where a member of the legislature was interrupted and silenced for mentioning Brian's name. And please join me in looking to Brian McGarry as a positive example of how each of us can live our lives more selflessly in service to others. If you cannot fulfill your duties to the citizens in your district, please step down and let someone else have a go at it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment during privilege of the floor?
Hi, my name is Portia Zwicker, and I just started serving on the Schenectady County Environmental Advisory Committee. I'm here to speak in support of Resolution 83, a resolution supporting the actions of the New York State Climate Action Council to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Over the past few months, I have worked with SCIAC's chair, Alex Likens, and some climate groups to get this resolution in front of you. And I'm going to let Alex do the bulk of the talking, but I do want to answer the important question of why pass a resolution of support. Because local governments are critical partners in addressing climate change, your views and support carry important weight with state decision makers. Because hearing from the diversity of New York municipalities is important, large and small, urban, suburban, and rural, from the county to village level and across different New York regions. Because public comments on the draft scoping plan ended in July, but the finalized scoping plan will not be released until the end of this year. Because the resolution is an important public education tool, and lastly, because the resolution helps to counter misinformation from the well-funded fossil fuel industry campaign underway in New York. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Alexander Likens, the chair of Schenectady County Environmental Advisory Council. Most of you know me because I presented last week on this topic, but I'd also like to voice my support for the resolution being considered by the legislature tonight regarding support for the New York State Climate Action Council's draft scoping plan. This scoping plan will provide critical guidance as well as potential technical and financial resources to local governments to help achieve the necessary goals and targets of the Climate Act. And in addition to that, we saw yesterday the passing of the Environmental Bond Act will further expand the resources, financial resources available for municipalities to achieve those goals and targets. In addition to the clear benefits outlined in the local government section of the draft scoping plan, which I presented last week, there are designated, the Climate Action Council has identified 13 census tracts that are designated as disadvantaged communities. These communities have this designation because they are most at risk for the negative impacts of climate change. And this designation allows a greater percentage of the support to be directed towards these communities. So there's real tangible benefits that are being outlined in this draft scoping plan specifically for Schenectady County. Schenectady County has made strides to address climate change already. such as pursuing Silver Climate Smart Community certification, being designated a clean energy community, codifying the CPACE finance into law, and also supporting a large solar development across all the municipalities in the county. So with that, I'd like to employ the legislators in this room to vote yes on the resolution and to take another important step in climate action for the current and future residents of Schenectady County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment during privilege of the floor?
Hi, my name is Scott Vivey, and I bid on one of the houses that Schenectady County put up for bid. It was a 4-bedroom house, sold as is, and I understand it was occupied at the time. And I have contacted College City Auctions about a concern. After I bought it, I noticed the people moved out, so I walked up the driveway and took a closer look at the house that I was able to get at a bargain price, to realize it's not a house at all. It looks like a house on the outside. It's 2 trailers welded together, cut in half, put under a shell. The frame of the trailers is what's supporting up the house. It should never have got a certificate of occupancy. I have no idea how that's come through. The house is only 22 years old, and it should have never, ever happened. It's just a big problem now, but I would think it would also become a problem for the county and the town of Princetown if this were to go through. And I'm asking you to reject that property. It's 397 Birchwood Drive. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment during privilege of the floor? Anyone else wishing to comment during privilege of the floor? Anyone else wishing to comment during privilege of the floor? Privilege of the floor is now closed. Thank you all for your comments. Prior to calling the meeting to order, under item 9 on our agenda this evening is communications from the chair. I'd like to read something into the record. Response to an email I received from Cliff Bradshaw in Duanesburg. Good morning, Mr. Bradshaw. Thank you for reaching out. Search of my county emails for the period you stated 9/13 to 9/15 shows that I did not receive any email from you during that period. Pursuant to the charter of the Schenectady County Legislature, the entire legislature must vote to fill any vacancy that may occur and must act within 45 days of the vacancy occurring. As chair of the legislature, it is my obligation to ensure that the legislature follows the rules. As you are aware, at the regular county legislature meeting of Tuesday, September 13th, the legislature voted to appoint Holly Villano to fill the remainder of Mr. McGarry's term through December 31st, 2023. I voted in the affirmative, as did a majority of my colleagues, and my reasons for doing so are as follows. Holly Villano has long served her community as a dedicated volunteer and elected official, and shares the same values as her constituents. As a registered conservative, she has advocated for her constituents' interests through her participation in the legislature's majority conference. She began her tenure as an elected official when she was elected to the Rotterdam Town Board in 1997 and was re-elected to a second term in 2001. Legislator Villano was elected to serve as a member of the county legislature in 2009 and took office as a representative of District 4, representing the towns of Rotterdam, Duanesburg, and Princetown on January 1st, 2010. During her time on the county legislature, Holly served as the chair of the Committee on Environmental Conservation, Renewable Energy, and Parks, and the Standing Committee on Veterans Affairs, while also serving as the vice chair of the Committee on Labor and Civil Service. Holly worked tirelessly to move Schenectady County closer to energy independence while reducing our carbon footprint, and has sponsored numerous resolutions and local laws which protect the county's aquifer and other environmental assets, enhanced parklands throughout the county, expanded protections for agricultural interests in the county, and added many acres to the county agricultural district. She's also been a strong and vibrant advocate for our county's veterans, fostering many efforts to recognize, honor, and support veterans, such as the expansion of the Veterans Memorial in Veterans Park, assisting in the purchase of a van to transport veterans to medical appointments, proclaiming Schenectady County a Purple Heart County, and most recently, the construction and dedication of a memorial honoring the county's Vietnam-era veterans. Legislator Villano knows government, and her service and contribution has made a lasting and undeniably positive impact on the residents of the towns of Rotterdam, Wadesburg, and Princetown, and throughout Schenectady County. What you're actually referring to is called widow succession, a tradition which was pretty much the exclusive method for women in the 20th century to obtain elective office. Party leaders appointed or ran widows to temporarily fill seats, capitalizing on public sympathy in order to protect the seat until there was a suitable male replacement. Many women find this tradition to be misogynistic and have demanded ballot access in their own right rather than as placeholders or political pawns. So your email begs the question, as I must honestly ask you, other than being a nice person and the wife of a former member of the county legislature, is there a compelling reason that would make Mrs. McGarry's appointment more valued in government than Mrs. Villano's? Mrs. Villano has served this county admirably as a Conservative Party member. Mrs. Villano has proven experience. While Mrs. McGarry is undoubtedly a very nice person, no one, not even you, have articulated a single qualification of Mrs. McGarry other than the fact that she was Brian McGarry's wife. Furthermore, Mrs. McGarry has never even submitted her name to the Democratic caucus as being interested. It unfortunately appears that Mrs. McGarry is being used as a political pawn by the Rotterdam Republican Committee for the purpose of scoring cheap political points. Finally, Brian McGarry never suggested his support of widow succession. When the former Minority Leader Jim Burmaster passed away, Brian McGarry did not attempt to appoint Mrs. Burmaster's wife to the seat, nor did Brian ever suggest in our many conversations Mrs. McGarry should replace him. I am proud of my vote in favor of appointing Mrs. Villano to fill the vacancy. This was in no way a sign of any disrespect for Brian, for Patty, or for their family. In fact, my relationship with Brian started back in high school, and I was proud to consider him a friend and a colleague. In closing, I find your characterization of this appointment as a lame, despicable, and power-hungry move by the legislature to be offensive. You are wrong in your assumptions, but you are certainly entitled to your opinion. The tone and demeanor of your email to me smacks of the petty partisan politics you accuse the members of this legislature of committing. So we will just agree to disagree. I am proud of our record of providing good government, tax stabilization, support of our police, our fire, and our emergency medical services, economic development, job creation, and an overall government efficiency. And I could go on, but the record speaks for itself. Kind regards, and I signed my name, Anthony W. Jasinski, Chair of the Schenectady County Legislature. This is what was being referred to by our speaker during privilege of the floor. With that being said, I call to order the November meeting of the County Legislature. Will the clerk please take the roll?
Mr. Fields. Present. Mr. Russo. Present. Ms. Pratt.
Present.
Mr. McGill. Present. Mr. Constantine.
Here.
Ms. Gatta.
Here.
Mr. Frazzoni. Here. Mr. Cuomo. Here. Mr. Paterni.
Present.
Ms. Ospelch.
Here.
Ms. Villano.
Here.
Mr. Hess.
Here.
Mr. Hughes.
Present.
Mr. McDonald. Here. Mr. Jasinski.
Present.
15 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. Members received copies of the minutes from the meetings held on October 3rd, October 11th, and October 19th. There's our motion to adopt the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are hereby adopted. Clerk will read the list of reports received.
We've received reports from the Commissioner of Finance, Department of Weights and Measures, and the County Clerk.
Thank you. Committee reports. Legislator Hughes, reports from the Committee on Economic Development and Planning.
Mr. Chairman, the Committee on Economic Development and Planning met on November 1st and reported to the agenda Resolution 179.
Thank you, sir. Legislator Osler, reports from the Committee on Health, Housing, and Human Services.
Mr. Chair, the Committee on Health, Housing, and Human Services met on November 1st, 2022, and reported to the agenda Resolutions 180 and 181.
Thank you. Legislator Russo, reports from the Committee on Neighborhood Revitalization.
Mr. Chair, the Committee on Neighborhood Revitalization met on November 1st, 2022, and reported one item to the agenda, Resolution 182.
Thank you, sir. Legislator Paterni, reports from the Committee on Public Facilities, Transportation, and Infrastructure.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The Committee on Public Facilities, Transportation, and Infrastructure met on November 1st, 2022, and reported to the agenda Resolution 183.
Thank you. Legislator Constantine, reports from the Committee on Public Safety and Firefighting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Committee on Public Safety and Firefighting met on November 1st, 2022, and reported to the agenda resolutions 184, 185, 186, and 187.
Thank you, sir. Legislator Fields, reports from the Committee on Rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee on Rules met earlier this evening and reported to the agenda resolutions 174, 175, 176, 177, and 178.
Thank you, sir. Also, Ways and Means.
And the Committee on Ways and Means met on November 1st, 2022, and reported to the agendas resolutions 179, 180, 181, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188, 189, and 190.
Thank you, sir. Our first item this evening is Resolution 174-22, sponsors Legislator Villano. The clerk will read.
A resolution supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Aye. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
Aye.
Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Ostrowich.
Yes.
Ms. Solano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Next item is Resolution 175-22, sponsors the Committee on Rules. The clerk will read.
A resolution supporting the actions of the New York State Climate Action Council to reduce greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. I apologize, I didn't do my due diligence on this. I wasn't here last week, and I apologize that I didn't catch up. Does this affect the citizens, or is it just the county? Like, is it the county as like the governing body, like the county buildings and such, or is it the resident? Will this affect the residents as well?
Well, no, this is a resolution that actually, if I can speak, yes, this is a resolution that's passed by it was passed by into law by the state of New York. It's been implemented early this year, in July 1, I think it is, and it's supposed to have a January 123, some sort of implementation. And so the county, as you heard from the council earlier today and last week, described the whole proposal, and it's actually listed out in here what is our goal or tentative goal for this governing body to try and achieve by 2020, 30, and 2050. And so this is just trying to just conform with that, and to the best of our extent possible, we will come up with proposals that the committee is going to be working on to try and get to a resolution that conforms with relatively what the goals that are being set forth in this particular Climate Change Act.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Aye. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill.
I'd like to explain my vote. I just want to say how proud I am of Schenectady County to continue to conform to what the state's doing as far as reducing greenhouse gas emissions. I think it's important to try to build a better future for our youth, because at the end of the day, they are our future, so we want to make sure we leave them an earth that is healthy so that they can survive. So I just want to say I'm proud of the county, and I'm proud of the work that you all are doing, and please continue to do so, because we definitely need you. Thank you, and I vote aye.
Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Ostrowich.
Yes.
Ms. Solano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes, I look forward to seeing more about more details of the plan. Thank you.
Mr. Hughes.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Next item is Resolution 176-22, sponsors the Committee on Rules. The clerk will read.
A resolution to accept monies from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services regarding the Explosive Detection K-9 Team Grant Program.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Aye. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Aye. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Ostrowich.
Yes.
Ms. Solano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 177-22, sponsors the Committee on Rules. The clerk will read.
A resolution authorizing acceptance of bids received at public auction for sale of real property owned by the County of Schenectady and authorizing execution of quitclaim deeds.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to ask a question. Is there any way we can amend it to remove Birchwood Drive? I mean, it seems it would be pretty unethical to leave that in there, given what we've recently found out from this gentleman who purchased the property. Obviously, he didn't know it either. He wasn't able to see it. I don't think it would be right for us to force him to buy it.
Can we ask for a legal opinion on this as to what verification as to why it should be included?
You like, briefly, just explain this particular situation?
Mr. Hughes.
I don't mean to preempt our law department, but we do have some information that First Deputy County Attorney Frank Salamone provided to us today regarding the various levels of disclosure that any potential buyer would have to go through and sign and authorize and indicate that they were aware of the limitations on the available information. I have no objection to allowing the law department to articulate that, but it's really, I think, the call of the chair at this point.
Thank you. Mr. Salamone.
So as part of the election or the auction brochure, there's the contract that each prospective bidder had to sign. And the first part said that they had to review it, they could review it with an attorney. And there are multiple provisions in the contract that provide the fact that that the sale is as is, where is, and that there are no warranties of any kind or any sort of warranties of any kind or representations. And it specifically says that there's no warranty or representation as to whether there's any improvements on the property, whether any of the structures on the property conform to any code, state law, or anything else. There's a degree of risk in purchasing properties at a tax auction, and in the contract, the prospective bidder signed off stating that they had read the contract, that they understood the terms of it, and that they were buying it as is, where is, no warranties, no representations, with expressly saying that there was no warranty as to the things that the bidder has brought up. Unfortunately, he thought the property was something different than it was. He thought that it would be worth more than it is, but unfortunately, that's the risk associated with purchasing properties in a tax auction. And the problem with that is that that's required. Otherwise, bidders would continuously bid on properties and find out later that they didn't want to go through with it, and it would create administrative havoc on the process.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, actually, I'm actually familiar with this house. Friends of mine, well, people that I know actually own it, and I do know exactly what he's speaking about. They actually put up a fake front in front of the two trailers, so I think this is kind of an extenuating circumstances. I would feel really guilty voting something like this through with this man, you know, being forced to buy something, and I don't think it's right for us to do that. But I understand legally where you're coming from, and I know he took a risk, but there was no way for him to know what was going on. So I will be voting no, and I hope you guys will back this gentleman.
The one thing that I would say is that there were no representations, but the only information that were provided was the address, the section, block, and lot number, the size of the lot, the assessed value, the annual taxes, the school district, and the fact that it was owner occupied. There was no representation made as to whether it says single family residence, but there's no description as to whether that's a house, whether that's a trailer, whether that's a 4-bedroom house, whatever that information was devised by the bidder, not by any representation that was made by the county. So that would just be the information.
Any further questions? Seeing no, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frazzoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
No.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Ostrowich.
Yes.
Ms. Villano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
No.
Mr. Hughes.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski?
Aye.
13 aye, 2 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Next time is Resolution 178-22, sponsors legislator Valano. The clerk will read.
A resolution confirming the appointments of persons to various boards, councils, or commissions.
Any discussion? Legislator Hughes.
Just a brief comment on the individual we're appointing and the group we're appointing them to. It's Charles Davidson, who's our sustainability coordinator, I think. Coordinator is the right title. And he will be among the group representing Schenectady County on the Capital District Regional Planning Commission. The commission's work of the last few years has moved fairly significantly into the whole sustainability area, so I think he'll be a great fit over there.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Russo? Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Mr. McGill?
Aye.
Mr. Constantine?
Yes.
Scata?
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni?
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo?
Yes.
Mr. Paterni?
Aye.
Ms. Ostolich?
Yes.
Ms. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski?
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Next time is Resolution 179-22, sponsors legislator Hughes. The clerk will read.
A resolution calling for a public hearing to consider an extension to a multi-year lease at the Schenectady County Airport.
Any discussion? Legislator Hughes.
Just in briefing, we discussed this quite a bit at length last week in the committee, but this is an existing hangar on the airport property, and it represents the desire of the owner of that hangar to move forward and continue with their ownership. And it is really in the best interest of the airport as we continue to try to develop revenue-producing hangars along the flight line. So I would recommend that the members vote in favor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Russo? Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Mr. McGill? Mr. Constantine?
Yes.
Scata?
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni?
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo?
Yes.
Mr. Paterni?
Aye.
Ms. Ostolich?
Yes.
Ms. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski?
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 180-22, sponsors legislator Ostolich. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the acceptance of monies from the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance for the Schenectady County Rental Supplement Program.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Russo? Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Mr. McGill? Mr. Constantine?
Yes.
Ms. Scata?
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni?
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo?
Yes.
Mr. Paterni? Ms. Ostolich?
Yes.
Ms. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Just to explain my vote, I was a little tardy in indicating my interest in commenting on this. This is an important step. Hopefully it will be ongoing money from the state, but it's an important step forward in terms of we have a serious problem in this county, both with homelessness and with eviction. And this is an effort on the part of the state that will be coordinated through our Department of Social Services to address some of the chronic family homelessness that we know is out there in the community by providing supplemental funds to ensure that people can, in fact, rent a place to live. So it's a worthwhile program, and hopefully it'll continue.
And your vote, sir.
I vote aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski?
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. The next item is Resolution 181-22, sponsors legislator Ostolich. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the acceptance of monies from the New York State Department of Health AIDS Institute Health Research, Inc. for the HIV Partner Services and STD Disease Intervention Programs.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Russo? Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Mr. McGill? Mr. Constantine?
Yes.
Ms. Scata?
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni?
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo?
Yes.
Mr. Paterni?
Aye.
Ms. Ostolich?
Yes.
Ms. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes? Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski?
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 182-22, sponsors legislator Russo. The clerk will read.
A resolution authorizing the county manager to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Capital Region Land Bank and the town of Niskuna regarding vacant or abandoned properties.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields?
Aye.
Mr. Russo? Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Mr. McGill? Mr. Constantine?
Yes.
Ms. Scata?
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni?
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo?
Yes.
Mr. Paterni?
Aye.
Ms. Ostolich?
Yes.
Ms. Valano?
Yes.
Mr. Hess?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 183-22. Sponsors Legislator Paterni. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding amendments to a lease agreement with Timber Holdings LLC for warehouse/shop space.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Next item is Resolution 184-22. Sponsors Legislator Constantine. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the acceptance of monies from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services for pretrial services.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 185-22. Sponsors Legislator Constantine. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the acceptance of monies from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for terrorism prevention and cybersecurity programs.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 186-22. Sponsors Legislator Constantine. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the acceptance of monies from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for technical rescue and urban search and rescue programs.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 187-22. Sponsors Legislator Constantine. The clerk will read.
Resolution regarding the acceptance of monies from the New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for emergency management equipment and personnel services.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 188-22. Sponsors Legislator Fields. The clerk will read.
A resolution authorizing a mortgage tax distribution of $1,967,288.93 to the various municipalities of Schenectady County for the period of April 1, 2022 to September 30th, 2022.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Next item is Resolution 189-22. Sponsors Legislator Fields. The clerk will read.
A resolution to authorize the county manager to enter into a contract with Triad Group LLC for workers' compensation services.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. Our next item is Resolution 190-22. Sponsors Legislator Fields. The clerk will read.
A resolution regarding the cancellation of interest and penalties for tax delinquency of a certain not-for-profit corporation.
Any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Fields.
Aye.
Mr. Russo. Ms. Pratt.
Aye.
Mr. McGill. Mr. Constantine.
Yes.
Ms. Gatta.
Yes.
Mr. Frisoni.
Yes.
Mr. Cuomo.
Yes.
Mr. Paterni.
Aye.
Ms. Osterlich.
Yes.
Ms. Valano.
Yes.
Mr. Hess.
Yes.
Mr. Hughes. Mr. McDonald.
Yes.
Mr. Jazinski.
Aye.
15 ayes, 0 nay.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. That concludes our business for this regular meeting of the County Ledge. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Those opposed, nay.
Aye.
Legislature stands adjourned, and if you all could stick around for a little bit, we're going to do our annual photo.